Yes, and you can play me Otile Brown anytime, any day. That is Nabite playing right here on the Black Hot Network radio station media of the 21st century. And that is, of course, Nabite, the name of the jam and the feature. That is actually, the artist is Otile Brown. The name of the jam is Nabite. But of course, Karibuni is another beautiful conversation of the Wednesday lockdown session. Hope you guys are having a beautiful, wonderful Wednesday so far. Mine is fantastic. My day has just started. I'm late, I know. But anyway, Karibuni, some of you guys are doing great. Shout out to everyone with us on Facebook, on YouTube. Those who get to catch the shows on a replay, I hope you guys get to enjoy. And I hope you guys are leaving comments down below. I've not been checking my previous videos, my previous shows, but I'll be checking to see how many people have been catching up and what you guys have to say. Shout out to everyone also with us on the network, on the radio station, on Rumble, on Spotify. Those who get to catch the shows on a replay. And shout out to also to everyone with me on TikTok. A shout out to you, Tropical. Shout out to Pendo in the building. A shout out to User55. And thank you to those who also following the live creator. I appreciate you so much. And of course, Karibuni sana My name is Joby, in case you're here for the first time, and this is the media of the 21st century, the Black Hot Fire Network radio station. I'd love to urge you, in case you do not have our Black Hot Fire Network application, you can find it. If you have an Android phone, you can easily find us. That is on the Google Play Store. Just search for the Black Hot Fire Network, and you'll be able to find us there. We also have the shop page, which actually you can be able to purchase some merchandise that is on the apparel store. And we also have a new page actually, which I want to introduce to you guys. I don't know how many of you have noticed that we have a quite different changes, and that you can be able to purchase a lot of things coming from the network, and they'll be delivered straight to you. So we have this is on the shop page. Under the first shop page, you can see there is different commodities on under different categories. We have the apparel store, we have some home appliances, we have some sports and entertainment wear, we have gifts and crafts, we have time pieces and jewelries, and we also have luggages, bags, and cases. And trust me, where we have the gifts and crafts, personally, if you can literally just get me this one, I'd really be so happy. There's something I saw here and I was like very impressed. This one. I'd get me this one to put somewhere, maybe on the TV. But yes, check out our website where we have amazing, amazing things. And, you can purchase a few things that you find very interesting there. So we have the sportswear, we have some gifts and crafts, we have a lot of luggages and bags, handbags, and soon we shall also be bringing skincare products on your way. And of course, check them out on our website and let us know what you would like also for us to add, and you'd love it to be delivered to your door. Karibuni once again, and of course, do enjoy the conversation of today, where we shall be talking. I want to take you guys back to a video that we bumped into that was circulating in 2017, where we saw an MP, and I quote, South Africa MP, who did warn civil war, rather warn South Africans of a civil war if they intend or in any way or in any case try to claim their lands back. It was actually, I think, 2 weeks ago where we discussed this on the Africa Today show. We've seen that actually the white South African farmers have been claiming their lands. I quote, they've been claiming their lands. They've been asking, if I had my forefathers who have been living here, they don't want to say who came to steal the lands, but who have been living here since the 19, whatever, until to date. Now I'm a great grandchild and I know this is my home. Should I claim this as my land? And we had, of course, our black people from the South Africa itself arguing, and myself, I say that no, you do not belong here. Pack your things and go. The same way we are not welcome in Europe, in London, anywhere, in Canada. I don't feel why we should be welcoming you also in Africa, the continent itself. You don't belong here. This was a land of black people, and we don't understand where the rest of you actually where you came from. Do you even have any clue? And if you do, can you try tell people the truth? That is the conversation we shall be having today, because I'll be sharing that video. And personally, I got very furious to see and seeing the tweets that they have been tweeting lately, threatening black people, especially the South Africans. If you dare claim your land, we shall literally be talking or claiming a civil war. That is our discussion for today, and I hope you guys get to enjoy. Along that, we shall also be talking about what is happening in South Africa, where we can see the South African Parliament has actually raided into the one of the MPs' home because of corruption. I mean, this is not something new when it comes to Africa. We always see them being raided, but what are the consequences they get to face? You hear someone's home has been raided, or this and this and this happens. Who gets to face the consequences of you stealing so much funds from the people and from the country? We shall also be talking about Kenya, where we have seen actually there is an ongoing Kenyan doctors strike, and that this actually is the 7th day where we can see the doctors did take it to the streets, and I believe this is a demand of either late pay or other things. And also we shall be talking about where we can see sex trade and slavery has become a thing where criminals are making billions of it. This is a report coming from the UN, which I don't trust, and of course none of us, we were discussing that was last Friday. We unveiled a video which was telling us a lot about the UN and their plans, especially with today's agenda and the agendas that they have been planning. But anyway, karibuni sana once again. Those are our top discussions for the day, and much more coming. Stick through till the end of the conversation, and I hope you guys also to give your comments, rather sentiments regard what we shall be talking about. Back to the music, and I'll be coming back with the quote of the day. This is by the one and only. I want to try play only And today I'm feeling much more of Otile Brown, but we shall be switching up a little bit. And this is by the one and only Kahush. And I hope you guys get to enjoy this. It's called Missy Wezi, and I will be back after this short musical
It's
break.
like a TV. Yeah. Right, we put it, and you're listening. You're listening. Shorty apple books, telling me to stop. Every time we step up on the scene, we make it pop. Yeah, I miss you, Ezzy. Miss you, Ezzy, stop. Yeah, I miss you, Ezzy. Miss you, Ezzy, stop. Yeah, no kitchen on flex. I'm not good at dress. Aki, I'm the best. Yeah, Aki, I'm the best. She say she a queen, so I play her like it's chess. I just wanna ball out like my homies in US. I had a couple issues, so I put it in the music. I had a couple issues, had a homie feeling useless. They say they gon' run me up, I told them niggas cool. Out here in Nairobi, swear these niggas never do shit. I roll with the trappers, I roll with the masters. I don't have the bag, I cannot lie, I'm not a capper. Still we going up, call the game the Kenyan answer. Running up a check and there's nobody running faster. I roll with the trappers, I roll with the masters. I don't have the bag, I cannot lie, I'm not a capper. Still we going up, call the game the Kenyan answer. Running up a check and there's nobody running faster. You let shorty up a books, they telling me to stop. Every time we step up on the scene, we make it pop. Yeah, I miss you, Ezzy. Miss you, Ezzy, stop. Yeah, I miss you, Ezzy. Miss you, Ezzy, stop. Shorty up a books, they telling me to stop. Every time we step up on the scene, we make it pop. Yeah, I miss you, Ezzy. Miss you, Ezzy, stop. Yeah, I miss you, Ezzy. Miss you, Ezzy, stop. Yeah, miss you, Ezzy. Cheza chini, yani yuri bani mini mini. Why they always watching me and do this like a TV? Why they
Yes, and welcome back. And my quote of today says, Happy Wednesday. I hope a mountain of good things and reasons to be grateful come your way this Wednesday. I was to give a very effed up quote. It was crazy. But anyway, I hope you stay blessed and I hope you feel motivated by that. Shout out to Ghost in the building. Thank you so much for tapping the screen. I'm Nico Fiti. Hope uko fiti. Me, I'm good. And of course, Asante Sana for joining on today's conversation. For the time you shall be here, I hope you get to enjoy. But anyway, karibuni sana, and I want to start with what is happening, of course, in my very own country. That is the 254, where we can see that there has been a strike of doctors for the last, which is today, marks the 7th day. As we can see, doctors have been striking. And they're saying that doctors at Kenya public hospitals have entered the 7th day of the national-wide strike and accusing the government of failing to implement a raft of promises from a collective bargaining agreement signed in 2017 after a 100-day strike that saw people dying from lack of care. And the Kenyan medical practitioners, pharmacies, and dentists union said that they went on a strike to demand comprehensive medical cover for the doctors, and because the government has yet to post 1,200 medical interns. Leaders of the union say 4,000 doctors are taking part in the strike, despite a labor quota, despite a labor court order asking in the union to put the strike on hold to allow talks with the government. So that is what they always say every single time. And I thought this was actually a strike because I was not actually updated of what is happening, and I just saw it trending. I was like, let me read this on the side and see what is happening. And I believe actually that is true. I do believe doctors do need to be given an insurance cover, but I mean, let's start with our very own people. How do they treat our own people, the doctors themselves? Because I remember there's a time I was reading an article right here when we talk about the services we get on the hospital, the services we get, in these government offices, how pathetic it is. And I gave a very perfect example and broke it down when my first day and my second day, and which was my last day of going to Kenyatta Hospital, I saw crazy services. People have to bribe their way in through to get to see doctors to literally ease their pain. So I believe as much as they are striking, we also, the people of the nation, we should also strike about these doctors. Because if you want things to be corrected, let us first start with the root cause of how do you treat people. We've seen so many people who have gotten this position through connections. We've discussed some time back, we shared an article where we saw How it is so easy in Africa to get and acquire, how is it called, the certificates. And we saw this Nigerian guy who brought us a story from how he acquired a certificate in 2 weeks, in 2 months, without him attending a class or even a goddamn even lecture. Like he doesn't even know if that school does offer the course, but he ended up getting a certificate. We're talking about corruption from the beginning, just from the word go there. So it is very questionable first. For me, if I am the one to even have a talk in this, with these doctors and all that, I want to check your services. I want to see how do you even, take care of the people. Yes, you should be taken care of. And this is something that should have been done by literally the Uhuru's government, because if this was a bill signed and a deal signed in 2017, we're in 2024 and we have another president selected. So we're talking about a corrupt country that only takes and collects funds, but the question is, where do they go? Because we see people striking, we see so many things happening in different African countries. Where do the funds go? That is the question. And that is why I question so high when you see this case of South Africa parliament speakers, home being raided because of corruption. It is all a lie. It's all a show to show the people that we're really working, but in real sense, they know the game that they are playing. In real sense, they know the game that they are playing. But they're saying that the doctors' union leaders say that they will disregard the court order the same way the government had disregarded 3 court orders to increase basic pay for doctors and reinstate suspended doctors. And the impact of the strike is being felt across the country, with many patients left unattended or being turned away from hospitals across the East African nation. And imagine, you're putting the patients' lives in jeopardy. That is actually, now you go to the system alone, leave alone even the doctors. This, the system itself, you've literally been poorly paying people and they've been trying to talk to you, but the only way you have to, they have to be heard is by them going to the street. And if it's not conducted peacefully, which majority you'll find it is always conducted peacefully, some tear gas are still going to be thrown. But are we understanding what risk we really putting people in? You're poorly paying people who are supposed to be giving services and attending to patients, but now patients have to literally be in pain because doctors have striked. Patients have to die. What about pregnant mothers? I kind of literally now want to question about, because I've seen what pregnant mothers go through, especially in Mama Lucy Hospital. And I believe it's one among the hospitals where we have people who are literally striking, or the doctors striking. One of the most performing, poorest hospitals. Mama Lucy is one of the most pathetic, I know, performing hospitals. But you find these doctors with their poor services still demanding a high pay rise and all that. I understand the cost of living is hectic and soaring on everyone. But what about your services? And I think I've spoken about this some time back personally. Where people used to be given opportunities or jobs because of their passion and because you have the skills and you can treat people good. But today it's all about selection, and that is why we can see Africa has gotten to this particular point. Shout out to UK Williams, Karibu Sana. Hope you're doing great. Yes, it is pure madness. I agree with you. So for me, if this was a true Africa Union organization, if I was, the head of the African Union, when we have this kind of matters, personally, the way I'm gonna approach them, I question the doctors first. What's the work? Can we go through the services you've been giving people? That is number one. How have you been performing? What points and scores can we, how many stars do you have, or whatever trophies we're gonna be ranking, or whatever we're gonna be using to rank people, Let us check your performance. Can patients lead you? Or are they going to say, no, that's actually, doctor is a very rude one. That doctor is a very, are we going to be complaining, or are we going to be referring you to people? How is your hospital performing? How do you approach patients? We've seen so many cases of patients dying because of this ignorance of doctors. And they're the same people are crying for help of pay. I look at this story in two sides of the coin. Yes, you do need to be taken care of. Also, your health needs to be insured. You as a doctor, that is number one. Actually, you need to be also taken care of because you're dealing and handling a lot of people, a lot of diseases, a lot of germs. You're surrounded literally in a very unsafe and unhygienic area where people are just trying to be treated. You need also an insurance cover. That is, I do agree with that. You do also require to be paid according to your performance of work. That is just me. And those are my thoughts regarding that. But I see King Alice in the building. Shout out to Ben 254 also. I see Go says I don't get it. I don't get your comment. And I also see Gebs in the building anasema njoo ununue gari kwangu tafadhali. Nitakuja na asante kwa kutufuata. Nashukuru sana. Nitakuja kununua gari. Na unanitakia mazuri yani. Unanitakia tu mazuri. That is so good of you. But anyway, those are my thoughts regarding this and what is happening. And I just want to read a few of one of the statements right here and what they're saying. They're saying that Josephine Jerry, one of the patients in Kenyatta National Hospitals, has spent half a day in the hospital without being attended to. And she says, I have been there since 8 o'clock in the morning, and we have been told to wait for doctors because they are not in. And we have just been in the queue since morning. And let me tell you the fact, Maina. These people, not all of the doctors are going to strike. So I'm certain that hospital understanding, and me being in Kenyatta National Hospital, there are so many doctors, so many nurses who operate there. So you can't tell me the whole department has gone on a strike. No. We have lazy people who cannot even adhere to, like, you go do it on our behalf. We don't have time. We don't have time. So I'm certain there are nurses who are there, there are doctors who are there, but they won't literally attend to the patients because they are on a national strike. That is why we go ahead and talk again about Africans becoming inhumane. This is some Zungu behavior. This is so some Zungu behavior. The cabinet secretary at the Ministry of Health, Susan Nakachun, I don't know, I can't pronounce that. Susan visited the Kenyatta National Health Hospital to assess the operations. And she says, as far as I'm concerned, the referral hospitals are working pretty well, and we are committed to ensuring that all facilities under the national hospitals are working. And in 2017, doctors at Kenya's public hospital held a 100-day strike, a longest ever held in the country, to demand better wages and for the government to restore the country's dilapidated public health facilities. And they also demanded continuous training of and hiring of doctors to address a severe shortage of health professionals. And we've been seeing our people being taken. I mean, as much as we've been saying that we have the best doctors in Nigeria, that being fact, we also have best doctors from other African countries. But how many get that opportunity, Because again, we've seen so many cases of patients dying even on doctors' hands because of them not having skills, because they were put in that position because your dad knew someone, or because your mom works there, or because your grandparents have something to do with a hospital. Like, it's always something to do with something for you to get a job in most of the cases, especially in government offices. And that is just the truth. But that is what is happening in Kenya. And shout out to Jiba Jaba in the building. Shout out to Steppers in the building. Been a minute since I saw you, but karibu sana. Hope you're doing great. Moving on to the next conversation is about the UN, which has actually come out with a report of criminals making billions out of sex trade and slavery. Am I shocked personally as a reporter? No. I mean, this is how they live, especially today's politicians. in Africa, I mean, this has become a multi-billion-dollar business. It has become a business. I mean, make me understand the disappearance of kids. And we're about to check, we're about to get into statistics. We're about to get into facts, because we'll be checking the data of how many children, especially this year alone, last year, how many children disappeared in Africa, how many women disappeared, or those who are found dead, probably in unknown circumstances. Let's not even count the mass graves with this cult nonsense of Africans and religion. Let's not count that. So we shall be getting to facts. But they're saying that illegal profits from the forced labor worldwide have risen to the obscene amount of $236 billion per year. And the UN Labor Agency was the one giving us this information yesterday. The UN, how does the UN have so much data that the rest of the world doesn't know? But anyway, it's the UN. The UN Labor Agency was the one reporting this on Tuesday, with sexual exploitation to blame for 3/4 of the take from a business that deprives migrants and they can send home, swipes jobs from the legal workers, and allows the criminals behind it to dodge taxes. The International Labour Organization said that the tally from 2021, the most recent year covered in the painstaking international study, marked an increase of 37%, or $64 billion, compared with its last estimate published a decade ago. And that's a result of both more people being exploited and more cash generated from each victim. And they say 236 billion. This is the obscene level of the annual profit generated from the forced labor in the world today. And the first line of the report's introduction said that the figure represents earnings effectively stolen from the pockets of workers by those who coerce them to work, as well as money taken from the remittance of migrants and lost taxes revenue for governments. Forced labor can encourage corruption, strengthen criminal networks, and incentivize further exploitation. Its Director General Gilbert wants international cooperation to fight the racket, and he says people in forced labor are subjected to multiple forms of coercion, the deliberate and systematic withholding the wages being amongst the most common. He also says we now know that the situation has only gotten worse. And it is crazy. It is crazy. So before we even continue with the rest of the article, let's just stop there. I want us to check how many children, how many, let's just check, because they're talking about labor, right? Let's look at how many children have disappeared. No, how many women, work, that is in Saudi Arabia or in Arabic countries. Let's just see. How many women work in Saudi Arabia? African women. Okay. How many Africans work in Saudi Arabia? So, what is the percentage of Saudi Arabics are See, they're not even giving me the statistics of how many people we have there, but they're showing me of Kenya. So let's see how many Kenyans. So they're saying house helps have for years made the largest category of labor exports from Kenya to Saudi Arabia. Excuse me. With data from the Ministry of Labor indicating that by 2022, nearly 80,000 Kenyans worked there as domestic workers and had secured jobs in the Middle East country. That is what is happening. 80,000. We're talking about 80. That is as of 2022. So we're not sure about right now. Probably the number has increased or reduced. I can't say. Let us look at how many women. I think there's a documentary. You guys, there's a documentary I was trying to share. I think it was on Monday, and I shared the link for those who are with us on the show. It was from Malawi, showing all this, the exploitation of our people, how they're being sexually exploited. And I don't want to share it, not today, because I don't want to be angry. We just want to check into what the UN is reporting, you know, and checking the facts. And I'm starting to see people, the same people giving us the information. Of course, like I said, we know they're part and parcel of it. They are the ones benefiting from it. The governments. Let's start by these organizations. That is how are they called? They have a name. They do have a certain name. I don't know right here how we call them, but those organizations are run majority by politicians who have put their fellow puppets over there, or some small puppets who work under them, and they collect a lot of money. Like I've given an example, men pay a lot of money, unlike women. All you gotta do is just passport, give your birth certificate, your ID, and your parents' copy of ID. Then after 2 weeks, you'll have your passport very ready, or even within a week. Depends with the demand of also the domestic workers required and how urgent it is. So it might take a week, it might even take a day. They're easy to process passports that way, but when it comes to a common mwananchi who literally applied for a passport the right way, it's gonna take months or years before it comes out. But story for another day. These organizations, the one that literally elect all these young people, lying to them they're going to get good jobs outside there, are part of this system that is literally giving us this data. So they know what is happening, because this is not the first time we've seen. Because let us check how many times the UN reported of criminals making billions a year from sex trade. I'm certain this is not the first time we've seen this report. How many times has the UN reported of sex trade making billions benefits? Oh, a day ago. So let's see. We also had in 2014. In 2020, we also had it reported. In 2006, we also had it reported. In 2021, we had it reported. In 2005, we had it reported. And much more. In 2022, it was reported. In 1986, it was reported. In 2014, it was reported. So you want to tell me this is new to them? You know, they don't know. This is the first time. This is shocking them how much. Because the only thing they came up different with is the number of money that has increased from this. But they have been making reports about this. Who has literally taken a serious action to report these criminals who are being called criminals profiting billions out of sex trade and slavery? Nobody. It is still active, very active, and very active. That is just the simplest word I can use. So this is all a game, you know, to make it seem the UN is doing a good job. And then where they include these fake human rights. Personally, I said where we have this organization with their human rights, I don't believe none of these human rights if it's not. I don't believe none of these human rights groups anymore, because majority of them are always just backing their motion, but in a way where we have to see that they are against their motion, you know, indirectly. So I'm not with it. I'm not with it. I don't know many of you are with it, but I'm not with it. I'm not with all these schemes, because that is what it is. They keep on coming up with articles, reports. Since 1986, they have been reporting of this. Because if I try to go through actually the headlines of them, the headlines, 2023 trafficking in persons report. Huh? situations, trafficking in human beings in the EU. I mean, nearly 2.4 billion women globally don't have what? That literally the same nonsense over and over again. Facts on preventing child abuse and neglect. The EU works on how to tackle human trafficking and all that. They have been reporting the same thing over, and who has taken action to putting these people who are criminals to jail or on a death penalty? Nobody. So don't fool us. Don't play with us. Juba Jaba says Asia massage parlors in the US are a hub for that trade. I'm not shocked. I'm not shocked. In Kenya, we also have them. Recently, we had in Kenya, I think I reported that some time back, where we had children who are rescued. Tens of children were rescued. God knows where they were being taken. Another time, we found women who are literally shut in a room somewhere where they had gone for interviews, being lied to, you're going to get a job, then you end up being, held there. You're being tortured, they're not being fed. The boss waiting to come and pick the package. So this has been very active in Africa. The politicians know, but there's no one and nobody willing to do anything. So these all some mumble talk, but they also say that on any given day in 2021, I think I read that. I think I read all that, and I don't want to go through it all again. So personally, I believe until actions do take place, all of this is just a scheme that has been happening for years of them coming with reports, but nobody gets to take actions against those who are being accused. And I also see Jibajaba says that ethnic restaurants are also participate in that trade. And I also saying that are they called recruiters or employment prosecutors? You can both, because they play both, let's just give them both. They play both, so we give them both. Because that's what they do, that is what they do. But moving on to the next conversation is about the ongoing violence in South Sudan. Yesterday on Monday, we did check on the increase of population of refugees in Uganda, and it has increased to 3.6. It is right now 3.6%, and we saw 1.6 million of the people. Most of them live in the northern, everything in the southern or the northern parts of Uganda. And we saw the majority of them actually are the South Sudan people who have migrated to Uganda, and also the DRC Congo people, that is the Congolese. And this is because of the ongoing violence in the both countries. And I said personally, I support it heavily. I believe it should be happening, and we should be able to live anywhere as Africans, and that should not be something that should be questioned. Our data should not be collected when we move somewhere. We should be able and freely manage to start a new life if I'm uncomfortable in my own home. That is what I should be able to do. But today's report is coming from the UN again itself. It is a report about 35% increase in people affected by violence in South Sudan. And I think that the number of people affected by the violence in South Sudan increased by 35% the last 3 months of 2023, according to the United Nations. The United Nations Mission in South Sudan, or UNIMIS, has documented 233 incidents of violence affecting 262 people, and among them 406 were killed, 293 were injured, 100 were kidnapped, and 63 suffered conflict-related sexual violence. She said in this report that was given to us on Monday. And that is true, because I was checking on this other article where we can see that they're saying that civilians caught up in South Sudan, in Sudan civil war, have given graphic accounts to the BBC of rape, ethnic violence, and street executions. And the journalists have managed to make it to the front line of the fighting close to the capital of Khartoum. The top UN officials did say that the conflicts have plunged to the countries into the worst humanitarian nightmares in the recent history and could trigger the world largest hunger crisis. There also are there are also fears that in Darfur in the west of the country, a repeat of what the US called genocide 20 years ago may begin to unfold. So they're literally predicting what they're about to do. And that is what they're doing slowly. Genociding people. Because what is that? It's crazy how we're so busy talking about the Israel bullshit and all these other African countries supporting the motion of, supporting Israel in what they're doing. Can't you see what they're also doing in Africa? And it makes a whole lot of sense when we say we don't know who controls the world majority of our people or us, because we we don't even we barely understand politics. We barely understand the same thing is run by the same system is run by the same people globally. And again, it makes a whole lot of sense how they can manage, create distractions, and how it can make people believe it's not them, it's other people, when they're not there. They're not physically there, but they are there. This is so crazy. And this is so sad to report. They also add that this is a 35% increased casualties compared to the previous quarter. South Sudan is due to hold elections later this year, and the first since 2018 peace deal between President Salva Kiir and his former rival Riek Machar, which ended a 5-year conflict causing hundreds of thousands of deaths. Violence caused by elections and disputes over resources such as land and increased various parts of the country in recent months, particularly in rich in oil, that is in urban regions. So we know that this is actually a warning that South Sudanese are being given, where we can see the US has said that this is actually might be a genocide that occurred 20 years ago. I mean, what is that? What are you trying to say? We're trying to find peace, but you're trying to dictate, or you're trying to predict war. Why are you predicting war? It's always a question. Why do they predict war? I understand why, but majority of us don't. Why do they predict war? And I'm glad understanding the term cause of effect, because that is what they have been doing in most of the African countries, and we don't see it. We barely see it. We barely see it. These people come here and tell us what their plan is, and our presidents being, I don't know if they're dumb or just don't want to do shit, don't want to tell people, inform people. Of course they don't, because they work for them, but it is so addicted. You've been told this is going to be another genocide, and this is all because of resources. There's no ethnical clashes over people ain't fighting between themselves. This is a funded war. People are not fighting amongst themselves. This is a well-funded war, a well-funded distraction. And very soon we're going to be seeing, let's see how many companies do we have in South Sudan. Then from there we can tell a lot. How many mining companies do we have in South Sudan? And who do they belong to? Mining companies in South Sudan. So let's see. I see there are a couple. And in South Sudan, mind you, there is copper, there's gold, there's diamond, there's limestone. So apart from the oil that is literally bringing all this fight and war that we can see the people control the war they're trying to literally take. There's gold, there's copper, there's diamonds, and there's milestones. So let's see how many countries. I'm trying to check another different article. No formal gold mining sites have been tapped and then prepared. There's an interesting article here. Let me see if I can read it. So this one is not giving me how many we have. Let me see this one. But I'm certain there's so many. I'm certain there's so many. I'm so certain there's so many. Who owns gold mines in South Sudan? Okay, let's see. Okay, so the Sudan Refinery Company, with full ownership rights revested with the Central Bank of Sudan, of course. We were just checking recently who controls all the banks, and we know who. The Ministry of Minerals and the Ministry of Finance and Natural Economy produces gold in the range of 270 to 360 tons. Silver alloy and silver granules are also byproducts. And yeah, that is at least a key, I think, to something. There is a key at least to something. What would I like, Neteru and Karibu Sana? I don't know what you're saying. I would like. Maybe you're wrong, you know. Maybe you're very wrong. So let me see if I can. I'm trying to see this article in which is very interesting. Okay, I think I'll read that later, but it seems very interesting. It is called Untapped and Unprepared. Dirty Deals Threaten South Sudan Mining Sector. Let me see if I can read this very quickly before we get to move on. It looks very interesting. Very interesting to me. And I'm curious. But yeah, there is South Sudan mining sector has seen rapid development in recent years, and preliminary reports suggest that industry could become an engine for major economic growth. However, ineffective accountability mechanisms, an opaque cooperative landscape, and inadequate due diligence have exposed the sector to abuse by bad actors within South Sudan ruling clique. The century has found the existing laws, and have proven insufficient bulwarks against abuse, raising concerns that the country's mineral wealth could do little more than spur violent competition, similar to what is similar to that which has ravaged the oil sector. Although South Sudan took welcome steps to reform the mining sector in 2012, some government officials, their relatives, and their close associates have fostered a weak regulatory environment susceptible to exploitation and In one example of how the privileged few have apparently exploited chem, 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 kleptocratic arrangements, President Salva Kiir's daughter partly owns a company with 3 active licenses, while another company, which 3 license, list former Vice President James Iga's sons as a shareholder. Ashraf Seed Ahmed Hussein Ali, a businessman commonly known as Ali Cardinal, who was placed under global Magnitsky sanctions in October 2019, reportedly owns the company currently holding the greater number of licenses. And in the gold-rich region of Capoeira, state government officials have begun issuing license independently of the central government. Meanwhile, the military has developed problematic mining interests in an effort to address budgetary shortfalls in order to shield the mining sector from exploitation by corrupt actors in the top of the government. On top of the government, a variety stakeholder must take swift action to boost its transparency, accountability, and oversight standards. Key findings. Let me see. Go down a little bit. Failing oversight, accountability. It's quite interesting. I don't want to read all of it, but I feel like it has some facts and something that we're not being told by the mainstream media. Create public register disclosing beneficial ownership. the United States, issue responsible investment reporting requirements, issue public advisory, United Kingdom. Okay, but yeah, it looks very interesting. I think I'll finish the rest later. There's something we're not being told. So you can see the president's daughter has some license of some of the mining sectors over there. So the people are more benefiting, people are literally the ones suffering, they're losing their lands, and it is always a copy and paste every single time. It is crazy. Juba Jabba says all tactics of keeping people displaced to steal the land's resources while they pray to Jesus or Allah. I agree with you. And also saying, Joby, would you post this article when you have time? Thanks. I only know Sudan for oil. I know that's right. Yes, let me share it. I also didn't know it had gold. That is the most surprising part. Let me see if I can share this. I'm not sure because I just found it randomly. But yeah, it is blessed. It seems South Sudan is very, very blessed. Literally, the whole continent of Africa, we've been talking about it. It is very, very blessed. But moving on to Kenya a little bit, switching up, is about President William Ruto before we get to the major conversation of the day, and Uganda a little bit. We can see that actually Ruto has said that people must pay the housing bill by force, and he has actually signed this into law. You can see President William Ruto has signed affordable housing bill into law after people complaining and all that. He has still done it. We've been seeing actually houses losing their lands, people are losing their homes because of all this housing affordability bill and nonsense that is going on. Guys, how much am I going to be staying there for free? Or will I be purchasing the house after you deducting my salary? Because he's deducting salaries by force right now. But anyway, they're saying the Kenyan president signed into a law controversial bill paving the way for the government to continue collecting a house levy of 1.5% of the workers' monthly pay. The levy aims to fund the construction of affordable housing for low-income citizens through though its implementation has sparked widespread criticisms. Thank you so much for following the live creator. I appreciate you. And they also say that legal handlers previously delayed opposition voices and significant portion of public have expressed dismay over the levy, viewing it as additional burden amidst a slew of new taxes. Legal handlers previously delayed the bill and enhancement, which with a judge halting deductions due to the lack of proper legal framework, despite objections from opposition lawmakers, and the bill was amended and ratified by members of the parliament last week. Of course, if you don't, you're going to be fired, you know. That is Ruto for you. Didn't you see what Dimore was reporting yesterday, literally? People now cannot even boo the president in Kenya. That is you promoting fear amongst the people. And that is how they're trying to shut people, literally. They are literally trying to make people be silent and making them be scared. Making them literally to be scared of the so-called politicians. They also had originally outlined in President Ruto's 2022 election manifesto, the levy forms part of a border finance law passed last June, which also saw a doubling of the sales tax on fuel, additionally a heightened health insurance levy in the set to be introduced soon. The government contends that boostering to narrowing the budget deficit by funding essential public services. And the authorities had begun deducting 1.5% house levy from their salary since last year. However, amid public anger, one activist took to the government and to court arguing successful that the levy will single out Kenyans in the formal sector who get regular monthly levy. So sad, and that is the type perpetism, dictatorship, and however you want to term it, and that's Africa today. And unless we take it to the street, we take his office, we're gonna keep on complaining. Personally, I don't see how I can't say Africa is gonna change if we don't change it. That is just how simple it is. Until we, the people who are suffering the most, we see this is affecting us, then they're not going to, until you take these offices, you go raid these offices where they sell fear to you. Make them bad. And it's not just making them be scared, but they should be scared out of their offices. Because this is so sad. We have people who are literally making maybe 6,000, then deduct some salary. These people have not even paid rent, paid the house bills. That is maybe in terms of water, electricity. They have school fees again. You mind you, school fees is very expensive. I mean, then you want to say why Africans are dying young at the same time? Because the pressure is really, it's really there. The pressure is there. The cost of living is crazy. Monthly, the landlord doesn't want to know if you paid the rent or not. They give you some. You have yourself to take care of. You have children to take care of. You have school to take care of. And even at this point, I feel like people should not even get married or even have kids. Because where? How? Wow. Why? How do you even start? How are you surviving? I can't, man. I can't. I got me to take care of. I got me. I've not even started. Getting started to take care of me. It's crazy, man. It is crazy. But to the next and the last conversation of the day before we get to the major conversation of the day is about Uganda, where we can see that Uganda security forces are high alert after they said fighters from an Islamic State-linked group entered the country during the weekend, and the Allied Democratic Forces, that is the ADF, militants, are planning attacks in urban areas, places of worship, schools, and public events, according to the army. And it urged the public to remain victims of ADF terror. And the Uganda, including targeting a school last June. And the group was originally formed in Uganda in the 90s by people disgusted with the government's treatments of Muslims. But excuse me, but after being rooted by the government, by the army, the remnants fled across the border of the Democratic Republic of Congo. In 2021, Uganda and the DRC launched a joint offensive to drive the ADF out of their Congolese strongholds, but so far failed to put an end to the group or to their attacks. And the Uganda's President Yoweri Museveni has repeatedly said that the operation has succeeded of ADF fighters, including some commanders. This is a bluff again when it comes to Museveni. Can you hear what they said? Uganda and DRC. Where? When? Okay, fine. If it happened, is Museveni still involved in is Museveni still involved in the DRC of the people and the killing? If yes, and this happened in 2021, this is a fake deal signed, and maybe DRC bought that Uganda is really supporting them. So my thoughts regarding is I'm not sure who's funding this and why you got backed by the ADF. This is because of what is happening in DRC, then it would make a whole lot of sense if they're trying to defend their people. But according to this explanation, there's a lot of missing points here, and I don't trust no Museveni at all, at all, at all. I don't trust no Museveni. I don't trust no Museveni at all. Talking about, but I fear for the people, of course, of Uganda, because yes, I do remember I did report cases of where people were attacked in a church. There was a time, actually, this happened. I believe probably Uganda is being attacked because of them saying no to the LGBTQ agenda. That is the only reason we saw attacks in Uganda. The moment they said no, we saw the ADF group attacking the school that was to the church. Actually, there was a bomb that actually, removed from a church over there. I remember that time I reported that, and now it's about to happen again. So I kind of believe that is the main reason why Uganda is attacked. Otherwise, Museveni has been a good puppet. He has played his role so well, and he's been actively supporting Kagame on their motion of displacing people from DRC Congo. Those are my thoughts regarding that. Maybe you guys can let me know what you feel. But I see Jiba Jaba was saying that that's bullshit. Just sell on investment bond levy, attacks on foreign nationals, not the struggling Kenyans. I know, but he said no. Ruto said no. He's not gonna take your advice. Ruto is not taking your advice, Jiba Jaba. And you're also saying that they give it a misleading name, affordable housing program. I know, because people are gonna be paying expensive in. That's the crazy part. You deducting my. I'm not gonna get a house there. It's gonna be expensive. Very, very expensive. But to the major focus of the day is about the video I was about to share. I was supposed to share. And I don't know how many of you maybe bumped into this or maybe are aware of this. But if you are, well, my bad. I have to talk about it because I didn't know about this. In 2017, we had a video that went of this man you can see here who they are claiming is an MP who said and claimed a civil war over the lands in South Africa. And they're saying that in 2024, since apartheid officially ended in South Africa, the transition had given many Black people hope that they could finally fully participate in the national economy affairs. However, this has not been the case. Black South Africans continue to largely remain on the bottom, let me just say that, of the economy. And now, and nowhere in this case more pronounced that in the country's land ownership imbalances. In power in 1994, the African National Congress had vowed to and ownership structures, and it promised to transfer at least 30% of the country's land back to Black people within the first 5 years of being in power. However, 3 decades later, while white settlers still own more 78% of the land, despite making up less than 10% of their population. With the countries poised to head to the polls, that is on May. Of course, remember South Africa is supposed to go to election this year on May. The land issue is featuring prominently in the national. And from the look of things, the ANC, the African National Congress, faces a appeal tax explaining to the voters why, despite being in the government with parliamentary majority, it failed to correct the land ownership imbalances. Some have accused the party of being timid in the approach to land reform, which critics say has emboldened was to resist any state attempts to redistribute the land that was forcibly taken from Black South Africans during colonial and apartheid days. Many settlers have made it clear they will not cooperate with the state when it comes. And in this clip that is from 2017, you can see on your screen, an MP and leader of the right-wing Freedom Front Plus party warns us of civil war if the government attempts to get land from white settlers. What are your thoughts regarding this?
Let I put it quite frankly. If anybody thinks in South Africa that you can take the land without compensation, you're living in a dream. Let me put it quite, if you want to start a civil war in South Africa, do that. Do that.
What are audacity for me, I tell you. It's always the audacity for me. Africans like me should not have guns because I'm not sparing you. Okay? I know myself. I'm not sparing you.
Of order.
On which rule, Honorable Member?
The rule that establishes point of order, you know what is the rule. But the point of order is, he can't stand there and threaten civil war for a radical program of land occupation. It's not parliamentary to threaten civil war. If you want civil war,
of course they can, because listen to the speaker. Thank you very much. Like this guy is trying to complain, but the speaker is like, thank you very much. Sit down. The nerve. The nerve for me, the audacity, the caucasity. It's the nerve for me. And that's why I'm cautioning Africans like me, we should not have guns. If Africa is not reformed, having this thing called guns, then having people talking crazy to you like this, huh? Me? No, I'm not capping shit, man. 0 to 100 real quick. Real quick. Real quick. This is so crazy. It's so crazy. But I want to read one of the longest comments here we have. It's been now, when is the lockdown station? I want to lock it down this way with the comments. It says, this is one of the guys who goes by the name Wale, and is sort of limits for migrants living in South Africa like me, but my sons are from this land. The damage has been done, and it's between, it has been way deeper than it was. The ANC had the power to fight the wrongs when they first got into power, but maybe they got compensated and lost the at some point. The lands have been cultivated and they now yield harvest and also in some way support the economy. Some of these lands have passed on have been passed on from fathers to newer generations, and some to whom only know those lands as home. Yes, a shuffling needs to be done by South Africa, but must go about it to respect and understanding. What is this guy talking about? Okay, and the earth is the Lord, and oh my God, okay. I should have known I was reading the wrong comment of the wrong person who is religiously involved and doesn't understand we are on a war, you know. And that is the problem with Africans. We want to be so sympathetic while people are literally attacking us. I'm not the one, man. You're messing with the wrong one. We're going down. We're going down. Knock me, I knock you. It's going down. It's crazy. And that's how we continuously being kept on the bottom. We continuously seen as weak, because in everything want to include Jesus, where he's not even involved. Some of you just need to use your brain and minds. You want to include Christ and Allah and all kind of people you praise and pray to, like Jiba Jabba was saying. This is just so embarrassing. I should have known I was reading the wrong comment. But anyway, I see another one who goes by the name Brad. Let's see what Brad says. He says, I'm a descendant. I have claim to a land taken by people who know nothing of my culture or my people. That man speaks from the podium of the privilege, and is terrified of losing or even sharing that privilege. Yes, threat of war. He'd rather fight than lay down land his ancestors took forcibly. And that is what Africans need to get. For this Brad, shout out to you, Brad. That is totally senses over there. We give these people so much respect, so much honor. Oh, Mzungu. Do you know they stink? Do you know Mzungu have, do we know where they come from originally? Do we know they have animal genetics? But the truth hurts, especially with Africans when they hear about Mzungu. No, don't talk about that. How dare you talk about it? To hell. You don't. It must be taken with love and respect. They didn't respect us, and you want us to stay. It's the sympathy for me. When will Africans realize we are on a war? He is literally declaring a war. And if I shared, should I share that video? If I find that video, I'm gonna share it again. But that guy said it. It's a war. You dare. You're gonna see a war. This is a war. And I don't know how Africans need to be told to understand or to get it in their heads. I don't know if I'm going to find that video right now and reshare it again with you guys. But until a white man says it, I don't know if it's going to click our heads. I mean, for some Africans, not for all of us. For some. I'm not sure I'm going to find it right now. But yeah, that guy told you very well and clear. Do not, because I hear some Africans are claiming land right here and there. Do not dare. Do not dare. But some comments, let me read the last two comments as I get to wind up. Excuse me. It says, if the white settlers stole the land, then clearly it needs to be distributed. If it's the if for me. That is an African who is not even sure of his history. If that is someone who doesn't even know nothing, a goddamn on what are, like they just going with the flow. If you want to say if, it's the if for me. But yeah, he says if, and that is a man. I think it's a man or a woman. Let me see, because I think this Instagram allows me to view profile. I think this is a lady. Kalimama, yeah. She says, if the white land, if, underline the term if, then clearly it needs to be redistributed since they are 10% of the population. The land should be sufficient. They went there as imperialists, and if they don't like it, they can return to the lands of the Europeans' ancestors. At least it did make sense, but I didn't like the beginning of your statement. It's not a if, they did. We need to remove the if. You know? And another one says, the last one says, well, so be it. We can't keep living in poverty in our countries while others are enjoying our resources. And goddamn right. That is so true. And just the last one, another one says that how do you take land without compensation? Do you remember what happened in Zimbabwe when Mugabe did exactly the same thing? Let's go repeat mistakes. Compensations. Compensations. We don't need compensation as Black people. We need our lands back. I don't need no compensation. I need an asset. Okay? Enough with the compensation money. You give me some fake paper, you have the real deal? Are you crazy? I need the real deal. I need the real thing. I want it too. You know? I want it too. And that is what is happening in today's conversation, rather the presentation I had for you today. The news and updates. We've discussed about Kenya signing, that is our president signing into affordable housing bill, which has been passed into a law. So kama uko na salary yako inapita government, you are inakatwa hapo, unajua, excuse me. We've also discussed about the UN reporting 35% increase in people affected by the violence in South Sudan. And I've said that I don't believe, and I don't like when I see them reporting this, because it's the same people also actively there causing destruction and displacement of the people. We've also discussed about the UN talking about criminalizing criminals making billions a year from sex trade and slavery. And I'm like, you know, if we've seen the the documents and seen how many times they have reported this. This is since 1986 where we've been seeing the UN coming with the same allegations, but what actions have been taken? Nothing. We've also seen Uganda where they are under a threat of attack, and that is we're talking about schools, churches, and public events. And I hope Ugandans stay safe and understand your president has some answers to give us. In South Sudan, also the cases of rapes and killings are rising amongst women and children, and this is because of resources and all that. And last but not least is about what we are talking about, which is that civil war claim about our own very land. But anyway, we're coming to the end of today's conversation, and I want to give a quick shout out to Ivande. Thank you so much for tuning in. Shout out to Jen Mugo, who has also been with me right here. A shout out to Crash Junior. Hope you're doing great. And Juba Jabba, who says you are firing on all Sindler's Joby. Man, you're not messing with me, man. You're not messing with me. Shout out to Dante. Shout out to Daima. You're not messing with me. You're messing with the wrong one. I'm just not the one to mess with. 0 to 100 real quick. I'm nice until I'm not. And for me, I'm not being nice with no white man. Even our very own people. You mess around, yo, kick out. Step out. Step out. Immediately. Jibaja also says that good reporting, Joby. Stay well. Thank you so much and have a beautiful day at work, Jibajaba. A shout to Gaji. All of you are joining and I'm winding up. How dare you? But anyway, Asanteni Sana, remember we have another show coming up that is in a few. Back with the Tubonge show. That is also we have Ush Money and Dimori. So asante sana to everyone who has been with us, and I hope you guys get to enjoy the rest part of the day. Catch up with us in case you get time to on Tubonge, and later on do catch Dimore also on the 7 p.m. news, and whatever the time is gonna be on your end. I'm not sure if I'm gonna be coming in for the Africa Today show. Kid is gonna be very busy today, but yeah. Shall be off tonight if I'm not wrong. But anyway, asanteni sana. See you guys later and have an amazing rest part of the day. Kinit Ndegwa, thank you so much for tuning in. Shout out to just everyone with us on TikTok. Shout out to Ivande, shout out to Jane Mugo, shout out to Wajire, shout out to 1 to 10, shout out to Baba Africa, shout out to Kenneth Ndegwa Kihoro, cool. Shout out to YW and to everyone who has been with us, manze. Mmekuwa wengi na nashukuru sana. For those who have paid attention to the conversation of today, shout out and to everyone who has been with us, mko wengi sana, and I hope you enjoy the rest part of your day. Do follow us if this is your first time right here, and check out amazing conversations on our YouTube channel as well. We are an online radio station and we have amazing conversation. Kama manzi yako anakusumbua, tuko na solution. Join Tubonge. Kama chali yako akupei vizuri, tuko nazo zote. Join there, tunabonga. Yani we're just there to discuss. Have an amazing rest part of your day. Have an amazing evening.
All the way and you tuning into the Black Fire Radio.